What's with the
Screen grab
jersey? What's
exception.
what's is that a soccer jersey? What is that? Oh, the Dubs 35. Is that Draymond? Oh, Durant.
No, the trader.
The traitor.
It's the trader. I'm just too cheap to buy a new one.
Is that an official?
It's what do they call it? An unauthorized official. I'll say that.
Chinese knockoff. Chinese knockoff.
Yeah.
Hello, my friends.
Thank you for joining us for the PEBCAK Podcast, a weekly information security show featuring some all-around good people. It is week 24 of 2022. I'm Chris Louie, and happy National Kitchen Klutzes of America Day, where we celebrate people who are culinarily challenged. With me, I have my co-host, the Hot Dad, who just might be culinarily challenged, as last week he sent a video to our group chat of himself frying an orange on a stovepan with the orange peel still on.
Hey, don't knock it until you tried it, Chris. And it's Chef Hot Dad to you.
Is that orange chicken you were trying to make?
Maybe I was trying to regain all of my taste and smell back since having COVID. Or maybe it was just a bad idea.
Yeah, cooking with the peel on. A well-known chef technique to cook an orange with the peel on.
Google it.
And and we have Glenn Medina back from RSA Security Conference, desperately hoping he didn't catch COVID or the monkeypox.
Yeah, no kidding. It was quite fun being there. I think everybody was done with RSA. I mean, not done with RSA, but done with COVID and didn't care because there was anyone and everyone there for RSA. I was surprised, Chris, to not see you there, a normal attendee.
Yeah, I usually attend in incognito mode. I go under my consulting group and I can talk to people without them pressuring me and spy on our competitors. But yeah, this year schedules didn't line up. I had to leave town for something, and I'll be there next year. Hopefully it's in person next year and we're over this COVID and monkeypox thing.
Yeah, I think we'll be on like COVID variant Zeta or something like that by then.
Yeah, Omega. Well, it'll just restart at the beginning of the alphabet again. Well, no guests this week due to our crazy travel schedules with RSA and customer meetings. I love having guests on the show, but I also appreciate it when it's just the three of us. We haven't done that in quite some time. We do have some awesome guests lined up, so stay subscribed and check us out. Combined, we have decades of information security experience and are here not just to educate, but to entertain. We've got 4 awesome stories for you this week, so sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. For our opening topic, I want to talk about the highlights of RSA this year. So for those of you who don't know, RSA is a huge security conference, maybe the biggest security conference of the year. It takes place in San Francisco, and it's usually in February, but they pushed it off to June this year due to the high COVID numbers. This is the first time it's been held in person since 2020, when 2 people from the exit beam booth caught COVID there and actually ended up in the hospital. Literally everyone I talked to remembered that specific RSA vividly, and whether they spent time at the exit beam booth or not. At RSA 2020, I remember Dell and Verizon pulled out last minute to protect their employees. I think RSA was like around February 21st, and then the official lockdown happened around March 15th, but we already knew the numbers were going up at then. Bottles of sanitizer were everywhere, and little did we know that those little bottles of sanitizer would soon be worth $50 to $100 just a few weeks later as the supply literally dried up. I personally did not make it up to San Francisco this year, but I hear that it was done in a way that was a giant middle finger to COVID and to say that we are back. Time will tell if this was a super spreader event, but I wanted to get your guys' take on the RSA conference this year.
So I went there Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and left Thursday. I've got a couple things that I want to note. San Francisco, in the immediate area, in the Moscone and maybe 10 block area, was pretty clean. I was shocked. I saw a lot of police presence. Didn't see as many homeless people as I thought I would have seen, and that was different because before you couldn't take 5 steps without stepping on something that was human natured, right? So that was good to have that, and then seeing them clean at night as well. The second piece is, who would have thought that you would walk through the exhibit hall and not see the big names like Symantec or McAfee anymore. I mean, it's kind of weird. And then seeing the newer names in the tech industry, it's kind of weird.
I didn't have a chance to actually walk through the exhibit. So what are the new quote unquote big names?
Well, just seeing that, things like CrowdStrike become bigger. One thing was weird was I didn't see Zscaler have a booth over there. But from my understanding, Zscaler was hosting meetings offsite. I know my company didn't host meetings. Did not have a booth either. We were hosting meetings offsite at another hotel. That seemed to be a new thing that's happening as well. Like not have a booth, but have dedicated meetings at another location.
Yeah, we did the same thing. I got in Tuesday, left Thursday, and all I did was sit in executive meetings all day long. I mean, it was pretty rad. I didn't have to do anything but just take notes and look like I knew what I was doing, but I really didn't. It was a lot smaller. Yeah. I think the normally it draws an attendance of like 100,000, and I think we only had about 20,000 in attendance this year. Is that about right?
So I don't know. I don't know what that actual number was. I mean, I'll look it up here in a minute. But there were definitely a lot of people. I know Monday didn't seem like a lot of people, but definitely Tuesday and Wednesday, it was ridiculous. Like trying to get around town and walk around, it was tough.
So,
did it feel like it was 20% capacity? Because normally, when like you said, when you walk around, you're bumping into people, and then even in the exhibit hall, you're bumping into people. Did it feel like 20% normal capacity?
It didn't feel like it when I walked in the exhibit hall. It didn't feel like a lot. It was actually it was okay, but it felt like it going to the restaurants and the bars. Every place I went was just crazy packed
and sold out. Yeah, that's probably like going back to business as usual.
Yeah. Speaking of which, I was looking for freaking Glenn on Tuesday night, and it was like Mad Hatter type of exhibit. I have no idea how to even really actually rephrase that. He sent me like on a wild goose chase. He's like, I'm going over here. And I get there. He's like, I'll be there in an hour and a half. I'm like, are you kidding me, dude? Like I just walked for like 18 minutes. But the fun fact was I was standing outside this one place kind of waiting for Glenn to show up. And some dude came up and talked to me. And he ended up taking like second place in the RSA sandbox spotlight. And, kind of cool. And I was like, well, who got first? And he's like, cool. Actually, believe it or not, it's that chick right there from Talon. Took first place, and I was like, oh. And I looked at her, and she looked like she was having a pretty good time, right? She was on her way out of the building, and she had these really high heels. I'm like, oh, she's gonna roll an ankle. Sure enough, man, she's Uber pulled up. She took a couple steps and just wiped out. I did the gentleman thing. I just kind of pointed and laughed. Didn't help her up at all. No, I totally would have helped her up, but she was with another gentleman. But I kind of felt bad, but I saw it coming a mile away. I needed to pull out my phone, but I didn't.
Oh, that would have been great on TikTok.
Missed opportunity.
Yeah. But, congratulations to all the people
there
in that
was
top 10.
there was a lot of drinking going on and a lot of crazy expensive meals. So shame on this hotel. I had I had lunch at this hotel, and I kid you not, there were 7 or 8 items on the menu, and a Caesar salad the size of a normal bowl, not a crazy bowl, was $25. And it was a Caesar salad for $25, and if you want to add protein, it was another $14-15. That's $40, folks, for a Caesar salad, and it wasn't ginormous by any means.
Dang, man.
Yeah, where's that committee on price gouging talking about like $50 bottles of sanitizer? Is that a $60 Caesar salad?
I should have hung out with you. I literally ate a Chipotle burrito and a hamburger and then a ton of fruit, and that was it. That was my entire diet while I was there.
Well, I didn't tell you what I was consuming. I was consuming, distilled potato the rest of the week. So,
Chris, you'll get a kick out of this. So when we were in Costa Rica, Glenn kept ordering us this drink. I don't know if you remember. It was like Tito's. Was it? Is that what it was? It wasn't the blue one. Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
That thing was...
Was it Tito's? I thought it was the other one. It was like their national drink.
Calpicao. Oh, yes, that one.
Okay, that would explain it.
National drink of Costa Rica.
Whatever we had in Costa Rica was nothing. Because like he ordered that for me at this one bar, and it was like gasoline. I was like, "What the hell is this? This is, woo!"
Oh, Cacique, 2 feathers.
That was
Is it 2 feathers or 3 feathers? 3 feathers. Yeah.
That stuff was potent. I'll tell you what.
So do you remember the rest of the night after
I didn't
you
finish
had
that, man. I took a
when you
couple
got
sips, and I
drunk?
was like, Brian's tired. I'm going to go home.
Brian did the rude thing. He didn't even finish his drink. Party foul.
Yeah. As much as you think Brian is an animal, a party animal, he really isn't. Brian's actually pretty tame.
You know, it's got to know when to, like, you know, cut loose and let your hair down. I just don't trust you guys yet.
Yeah, and Brian subscribes to that saying I always say, you know, the candle that burns twice as bright lasts half as long. So I think Brian wants to burn half as bright and last twice
as long.
Is that like an old Chinese proverb? I've never heard that before.
I don't know. I just know it's a saying.
If it's coming from Chris, it's Chinese. Get it?
Confucius say. I guess on the tech front, speaking of RSA, like I check the tech press, the blogs, all the press coverage of it. I gotta say, nothing impressed me this year. A lot of the stuff that people were putting out for PR releases and things, they were rebranding or relaunches. I didn't see anything that seemed really innovative this year.
Yeah, I would tend to agree with you, Chris. It's not that it wasn't innovative. It was just blah. I think everybody was there more for getting back out and socializing.
More for networking.
Yeah, more for networking.
Sort of like how Black Hat has gone.
Yeah.
Like Black Hat used to be this underground hacker conference, and you'd release the latest new exploits in 0 days, and then now it's just totally corporate. It's just a reason to go to Vegas and meet people.
Hobnob. I will say, with Talon taking home like #1, this actually puts Glenn in a very good position because you guys are kind of competitors, correct?
Yeah, same technology, very similar technology, but I think we're ahead of the game on some features, functions. So should be interesting for this.
I
year.
100% agree with you.
You know what? I always found it funny that anytime, like I worked at multiple companies, and anytime a competitor would do something good or get some publicity, the spin the company would always, the company I worked for would put on is, this just validates the space that we're in. So like, oh, that's a nice way of spinning it, but you know, they are ahead, or maybe not they're ahead, but that was always a spin. Like, this just validates the space that we're in. Like, I just thought that was funny. All right, for our first topic, the country of Syria is cutting off their entire country's internet access for 3.5 hours for 4 days when high school students take their standardized testing for university entrance exam. Cheating is so bad, or at least the threat of cheating, that the country has decided cutting the entire country off from the internet is less draconian method to deal with it. These entrance exams are immensely important, similar to the SAT or the ACT that we take here in the US, where the score on this test can literally make or break a student's entire future. The problem in past years is that questions from the exams appeared online and on social media 30 to 60 minutes before the exam, opening it up to cheating and completely destroying the integrity of the exams. The exams are printed on the spot or delivered just before the test commences to stop people from knowing the questions in advance. So this is typically when you have an entire country, everybody has to take it at the exact same time, because even if you have different time zones, someone starts an hour before you, they get the questions an hour before you, they call up their friend and say, hey, these are the questions on it, destroys the integrity of the test. Syria maintains a tight grip on the internet access for their people, which greatly helps them censor the internet, but it also allows them to black hole their BGP routes for a few hours to effectively turn off the internet for the whole country. No word if text messaging or MMS will still be available, but fixed line and mobile internet will be down.
Like
What about satellite?
Well, you can't stop the signal, so satellite, you're good. I just don't know if anyone in Syria has Starlink or not.
Like, who knew that Syria took education so seriously? Like, does anyone actually know why? Like, I mean, I know you said it was like integral to the next level of education, but do they get like a free puppy, or is there some sort of like college like Bernie Sanders plan over there that if you do well, then you don't have to pay for it?
Syria was not one of my areas of study in college, so I'm not exactly sure how well their education system is over there. I guess it's one of those things. If you're there and you're stuck there, you want to make the most of it, and to make the most of it, you want to go to a good university, and this is the way to go to a university.
Well, now if I ever see somebody's resume and they graduated from the University of Syria, I'd be like, damn, man, you must be smart.
smart enough to pass the entrance exams without cheating, hopefully.
Or smart enough to pass by cheating.
Yeah, but so let's talk about equalization here, right? Is like, I think if you have enough money, you'll probably go and get, satellite service, right? And then the second part of this that I want to bring up is Syria. I can't remember, and I'm trying to look this up or validate this. Do they allow women in school or to have higher education? So is that even for them?
That I don't know. Maybe one of our listeners out of Syria can let us know, or anyone that studied the region.
Yeah.
If that's true,
that's where Malala came from. Do you remember Malala?
Oh my God.
Yeah. Do you remember Malala, right? She was the, 11-year-old, like green-eyed girl that showed up on Time magazine.
Yeah. How's she doing?
Yeah.
Yeah. Better. She's got a fund. I'm looking at it right now, so it was awesome.
But Glenn, I think you're missing the point here. If you're in Syria and you have money,
mm-hmm.
you don't even have to take the exam. You don't have to cheat. You just pay the right person, and they'll get you in. I'm guessing that's how it probably works.
You think it's that corrupt?
Probably. They do it at USC, so.
Uh-oh, shots fired.
And we're only talking about the United States.
Yeah, in terms of their freedom index, I know they don't score high there. And political corruption, I can't prove it because I haven't looked up and I haven't looked. I don't know. This is not based off facts. I'm guessing for the right price, you can get into a good university there.
Does anybody want to
pure speculation?
Does anyone want to explain what happens when they black hole the BGP routes? For maybe some of our newer listeners around networking.
Why don't we have our resident F5 networking expert fill us in on that?
I don't know. I was hoping you guys could answer that for me.
You just delete the routes, right? BGP runs the internet and says these particular routers connect Syria to the internet, and if you just turn off the BGP routes for this period of time, it just goes into a literally a black hole. You say, I want to go to google.com or universityofsyria.com, and it just goes nowhere. You get a 404. DNS doesn't resolve, can't reach the destination. You just cut off the internet.
You think that?
But what if you had a basic IP address? Could you route that? Sorry, Brian. Or is it just because there's zero routing at all at layer 3?
Yeah, there's no routing. It just doesn't know where to go.
Yeah, I mean, if there's, Syria probably has one ISP, or even if they have a few ISPs, they're all government controlled. So they said, on this date, you must turn off your BGP routing. And if there's no internet, there's just no internet, and there's no way to get out. So
let's state it today that when they go to turn it back on, they're going to inject routes. They're going to just hose the internet, and they're going to, it, like everything's just going to get routed through Syria. And the damn cloud's down again. What happened? Freaking Hector over in Syria.
That's true. Yeah, when you mess with BGP, especially at a global level, it's so fraught with the potential for things going wrong.
Well, hopefully if I'm right, we'll have to mint this.
There you go. Brian called it.
Well, imagine when they take it down, how much of an effect they'll have taking it down as much as coming back up as well, right? Isn't that a thing? Or is taking it down not a big thing?
I mean, when you think of something like a boot storm, like you boot 100 VMs at the same time on a server, then it exhausts the resources and it just crashes everything. I imagine Syria comprises like 0.05% of the internet traffic. So when it comes back online, it'll just be a blip on the radar, assuming they do BGP correctly. And that's a huge, huge assumption that they will do it correctly.
Unless they get a fat finger one of the Google IP addresses and all of a sudden everyone's down again.
Yeah, was it Pakistan? It was some totalitarian country tried to black hole YouTube traffic, but they accidentally published the routes for YouTube for the global IP table, and then it took down YouTube worldwide for like 2 or 3 hours because of this dumb BGP routing problem. Might have been Egypt. It was one of those
I remember that happening. I don't remember who it was, but yeah, that's what made me think that they're probably going to do the exact same thing.
You mean the graduates from the University of Syria are not global networking experts?
All I'm saying is that it might be a minimum wage worker, and you'll see what happens when that happens.
All right.
How many listeners do we have
report back.
in
Syria?
Just out of curiosity.
Yeah, that's a challenge. If we have any Syrian listeners or have background in Syria, please reach out to us.
All right, I'll check the analytics too and see if we have any listeners there, but I don't believe so. When we did our international show and we were thinking our international listeners, it was not on the top, 25 at least.
I have no one on my blog. Well, I shouldn't say that. I don't have any Syria traffic in the top 10 going to my blog. That's so whack.
All right, for our second topic, I came across a funny post on InfoSec Twitter, which happens to be the best part of Twitter, by the way. The rest of Twitter is just a gigantic dumpster fire. But this tweet talked about a ransomware group. They posted on their leak site that they ransomwared Cici's Pizza. For those of you who do not know what Cici's Pizza is, it's a very affordable pizza place. It's a chain of restaurants here, and they have reasonably priced all-you-can-eat options. You pay a fee, you can sit there all day and eat as much pizza as you choose. I do not find it funny that someone got ransomwared, but I do find it hilarious that InfoSec Twitter is split exactly down the middle on this issue. Half of InfoSec Twitter is up in arms and upset that someone would do such a horrible thing to an innocent pizza chain that when you really think about it, it solves part of the poverty problem. I remember hearing a story about someone working in InfoSec who did not have 2 quarters to rub together, and when he was homeless, he lived out of his car, and Cici's Pizza was a means to feed himself. He would just buy the all-you-can-eat option and code away on his laptop until he pulled himself out of poverty. The other half of InfoSec Twitter was cheering on the attackers and complimenting them for taking out a trash restaurant, taking them offline, and they're no longer able to subject people to their awful pizza like they're doing the world a favor. Now, in full disclosure, I did go to Cici's Pizza one time to check it out while I was traveling for work, and I thought the pizza was pretty good, especially for the price. And the only thing that could possibly beat Cici's Pizza is Costco's $1.99 pizza slice or $10 for a whole pizza.
I think Sbarro's and KFC and McDonald's and probably Burger King and Little Caesars are all shaking in their boots right now. They're like, oh man, this happened to Cici's Pizza. It can happen to us.
Yeah, what do you think the IT budget is for Cici's Pizza? I don't think they do a lot of online, or maybe they do online ordering. I'll tell you this right now. I was a fan of Cici's Pizza when I was raising my kids because it was a great place to go for about, I think, $15. I could feed the whole family, and we could eat as much as we want, salad included in there, right? And even get a dessert pizza at the very end.
$15 per person?
To be honest, yeah, no one's going to Cici's for the salad.
No. $15 for a family of like 4 at that time. We didn't have my youngest. So yeah, family of 4, $15. I think it was like less, like $3.99 a person, all you can eat.
So going back to the IT budget question, I would assume that they're probably VAR of choice is like Walmart, right? This bunch of Linksys routers everywhere. I could be wrong. I feel so bad if it's not. Like that's totally messed up. And I read the Twitter comments. It's looking like the side of Twitter that's all for taking out a crappy restaurant. I've never eaten there. Is slowly winning that battle.
All right, so it's not split anymore. It's more people that said this ransomware crew did the world a favor.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's because those ransomware folks have money to go get really good pizza. What about the folks that like cheap pizza? I like cheap pizza.
All right, let's play the game real quick. Let's say that you can get rid of one fast food restaurant forever. Maybe it's because you did some sort of ransomware and put them out of business for the rest of your life. What would it be?
Oh, would we be in trouble for saying this on the podcast?
Nah.
Well, we're not going to get sponsored by them, so pick a restaurant that you don't think would ever sponsor us. Let's put it that way.
What's one that I never
I've kind of already burned bridges with Five Guys, so there's that.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, so you're going to knock out Five Guys.
No, I still like Five Guys.
They're peanut farms.
Is there one that I just like totally despise that I just won't go to?
Like I don't.
I mean,
I don't hate or dislike any. I've had poor experiences at franchises, so it's no knock against the parent or the corporate. There's been some awful franchises that I've interacted with. I will say, it might have to be Long John Silver's. Brian, are you familiar with that? Are they national?
Yeah.
Like they have them out there?
That's a
Okay.
conspiracy theory all in itself. Like
Exactly. That's where I'm going with this. Yeah, that it's a giant money laundering operation for a marijuana cartel. Like, I think that's the conspiracy.
Yeah, I've never seen anyone
Was
in
it
there.
that they have these long johns
Yeah,
that they still exist? And
they
the
still
fact that-
exist. When you drive by, there's
Yeah.
no one in the parking lot. There's no one inside, but they somehow are still profitable and around. And I'll put a link in the show notes, but someone lays out a really compelling, at least to me, case that it is a gigantic money laundering operation for a marijuana cartel.
Yeah. I can't remember, but I think my wife's sister graduated from 8th grade into high school, and then her parents took us all to Long John Silver afterwards to go have a hush puppy. But that was, I think, the last time I'd been in a Long John Silver was man, it's got to be at least 40 years ago, right? No, actually, no, 35 years ago. So, yeah, it's been a while.
Oh, I did think of one. So, Buffalo Wild Wings. So, no knock against no. Okay, so hear me out. It's not a knock against the food because I actually think the wings are good. But every single Buffalo Wild Wings I've gone to has been terrible service. And I'm not alone in this. Like if you look on Yelp and you look up seriously, go on Yelp and look up Buffalo Wild Wings. The number one complaint is just terrible, horrible service.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with you on that. I don't think I've ever left there thinking, wow, that was the best time ever.
Yeah, like
You guys don't sit in a bar. I've sat at a bar at many multiple Buffalo Wild Wings and had a great time.
Yeah, I definitely didn't sit at the bar.
Yeah, I didn't sit at the bar. Like I would call in. Like I'd call in, no one pick up the phone or be busy, and I'd go in, I'd order, and then they get my order wrong, and then I'd have to wait for them to fix the order, and it's never been a positive experience. I don't even know why we still go there.
All right.
My biggest gripe with Buffalo Wild Wings is why do I have to pay for celery and carrots if I'm ordering chicken wings from you guys? That should be like pennies on the dollar to them.
It's all
Maybe not
margin.
lately.
It's all margin for them.
Yeah.
So
I look at it and I go, because I love fried chicken, right? So I look at the popular chain restaurants out there. Of the 3 top ones that come to my mind, like Popeyes, Church's, and Kentucky Fried Chicken, if I see one of the other 2 driving down the street, I'd rather go there than to Kentucky Fried Chicken. So
KFC's out?
Not that I could live without it. Yeah. Well, like I said, given a choice.
Time out.
Right?
I think KFC, right, and Long John Silver's, they're part of the same company. Did you know that, Chris?
Maybe.
I don't
Could
know
be.
if that's
what else are
correct.
they selling in those buckets?
KFC
So-
falls under Yum Brands, which is Kentucky Fried Chicken, Taco Bell, and Pizza
Yeah.
Hut.
Every single Long John Silver's in Arizona is tied or is in the same restaurant as a Taco Bell.
Oh.
It's not the case here, but
Maybe
yeah,
that Yum
maybe you're
brand.
right. Yeah, maybe they're under Yum Brands, maybe one of their sub brands.
All right, I have a very
I'll tell you what I can't. Yeah.
I was
Go
gonna say
ahead. Go
mine
ahead, Ryan.
is very. You guys probably hate me for saying this, but it's McDonald's. Man, get the hell out of here! Shut them all down. I don't need them ever
Yeah.
again. F McDonald's. That might be a very unpopular opinion.
No.
People are like, my French fries. The French fries suck.
No.
I don't know what you guys are talking about.
No. Once or twice a year, I've got to go have like a quarter pounder with cheese.
McRib.
McRib. Yes,
yeah.
when it does come out. Yeah.
Yeah, don't speak an ill word about the McRib, or we'll have
Yeah.
problems.
I'll tell you one fast food chain that I can't live without is Subway's. Just that whole cheap turkey sandwich for about, well, it used to be $5, now it's $6. I could eat those like 2 or 3 times a week simply because I know what's in there. It's pretty healthy.
And is it also because you're a fan of Jared?
Well, no. Hey. I like the fact that he lost weight eating Subways. I don't like the fact of what he did representing Subways.
Fair enough. All right, so I pulled the stats of our listeners over the last year. So Syria is not on the list. Some other countries that actually surprised me. We have at least one listener. Uganda, El Salvador, Qatar, Pakistan, Macedonia, Madagascar, Kuwait, Iraq, Algeria, Armenia, Nepal, Vietnam, Saudi Arabia. We got 4 listeners out of there. Yeah, I think those are probably the ones that surprised me the most, that we've got some listeners in.
No Ukraine?
Yeah, 6 listeners out of Ukraine.
All right.
Yeah.
Praying for you guys all in Ukraine, by the way. Yeah.
All right, for our third topic, I came across an interesting article that says Microsoft, the tech giant, will stop enforcing non-compete agreements for most of their employees. Previously, a significant number of employees leaving Microsoft could no longer go to work for a competitor, which would be like Google or Amazon or even Salesforce. At least in California, non-compete agreements are largely unenforceable. Microsoft still reserves the right to enforce non-competes for their executives. In the same announcement, Microsoft also plans to publish salary ranges for their job postings to help fight salary inequality. For the record, both of my co-hosts know how much I make, and I believe transparency supports fairness. I have not had to take a job interview in quite some time, but it was always an awkward conversation when it came to talking about salary. Knowing what I know now, and I've gotten a lot of help along the way, I believe I could be a better negotiator. Looking at some jobs on LinkedIn for things like a cybersecurity engineer. Sure, they post a salary range, but the range is something like $48,000 to $178,000 a year. It's like, really? Like, how is it possible that there's so much salary range for this job? I think it's a step in the right direction for tech. Non-compete agreements are dumb and largely unenforceable, and the taboo of not asking people how much they make allows employers to underpay people.
It's part of negotiations, though, Chris. I think that's something that I've learned in the last 30 years of being in the workforce. Is do you ever go to a dealership and accept the first price that they give you when selling a car?
Well, for my last car, I did, because there's no negotiating when you're buying a Tesla.
Right. Besides that, right? So, but for the most part, right? You don't go, oh, that's an awesome price, let me go buy that, right? That it doesn't work that way, and I think that should be, the reverse. As far as the opposite is true, is like when you go to a job, you shouldn't necessarily take the first number that comes across the table. I don't know, Hot Dad, what do you think?
I'm with you. I remember a long time ago, and I've actually taken this principle as I've helped coach people to working in this industry as well. But I was on the customer side, and I had an OEM that was trying to bring me over, and so we were discussing salary, and he's like, well, what do you make? And I told him, he's like, okay, well, I make this, and like it was like Operation Shock and Awe. Like I was like, oh my God, that's literally twice as much as what I make right now. I had no idea. And I was like, well, what should I ask for? And he's like, ask for more than what I make. I'm like, are you nuts, man? You've been doing this for like a decade, and you want me to come in? He's like, basically, he's like, what's good for you is good for me.
That's right.
He's like, the more you make, the more I can make. And so I've kind of taken that notion. Like anytime, I'm 100% transparent with all my coworkers, anyone that's coming in. I always tell them exactly where I'm at and what they should be asking for.
I'll agree with you. Like I'm all about trying to make sure everyone gets paid as much, because at the end of the day, we all need to survive, right? So I love it. I love it when prices go up. When you hear that story, Brian, about that guy sharing, that's definitely how it goes. And that's the same thing for, like I said, I'm going to compare this to the housing market, right? I hope my neighbor sells his house for $1 million, because my house will become $1 million as well, right? So definitely.
Yeah, set the bar high. And then that's how we end up with 10% inflation.
Jeez. I was talking with one of my coworkers. He actually used to work with us. I was on the plane yesterday. And one of the things that he had worked into the negotiation on his offer letter was like the whole like no reverse on his stock. So it was like either a pre-company IPO. And then the other one that he shared with me that I didn't even think about was like that if they get bought, that he just automatically just vests 100% of his stock with it. Like, so if they, he came aboard and his vest schedule was for 4 years and he was only there for 6 months, and they got acquired, he was like, boom, fully vested. I was like, oh, that was brilliant. So anyone out there, sound advice, no reverse split on your stock options, locked in strike price, and forward vest automatically 100%. Go for it.
I think we need to make an SE handbook, guys. We need to co-author something, dealing with job interview, those skills, negotiations, those skills, and then move on to, how to operationalize being a new SE into being an SE, an experienced SE, and then, helping transition to other things as well. So I'm all for it. Let's write a book, guys.
Like, if only we had a platform where we could reach thousands of SEs and tell them this great advice. If only we had that available to us.
Well, so the problem, Chris, is not the fact that we don't have access or a platform to reach thousands of SEs. It's those that are up and coming to become new SEs is where they're really not listening to us right now.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, I have to say that the two of you and then Zoltan, who was a guest on our show, he really helped out with telling me how to negotiate a salary. I haven't had to do so for some time, but I feel pretty well armed for the next time I do have to come to that table, thanks to my peers. And it's good to spread the love, spread the knowledge, and a rising tide rises all ships. For our fourth topic, and it will be a rotating topic every week, this week I posed a question to my co-hosts. What movie scared you that isn't a horror movie at all? Well, I let them think of their answers. For me, my answer is it wasn't exactly a full-length movie, but it was a short that was on Netflix called Love, Death, and Robots. I've encouraged my co-hosts to watch the series for some time, but I still think they have not, so I'm going to go ahead and spoil at least one of the episodes for them. Love, Death, and Robots is a series of animated shorts between 3 and 15 minutes long, and each one is independent of the other. So if you don't like one, just go to the next one. It has nothing to do with the last one you just watched. They're also done a different type of animation style. Like, one will be claymation, one will be anime style, and one will be just a totally different animated style. So the episode I'm going to talk about is called Pop Squad. So if you have Netflix, check it out. The episode's called Pop Squad. I'll link it as well. The premise of this episode is that in the future, humans have solved the immortality problem and people can live forever. With immortality comes the overpopulation problem, because if people keep being born and no one dies, the world's eventually going to run out of resources. To fix this problem, it's now illegal to have kids, and any kids that are found are immediately executed, so kind of dark. The story follows a police detective that tracks down these so-called breeders who illegally have children. The parents are arrested and the child is taken out. The detective is starting to feel conflicted about what he's doing. His girlfriend is all about herself and says that she would not trade her immortality for the ability to have children. And at one point, the detective follows a woman home who he suspects has a child, and he ends up being correct. He sees how happy the kid is and how much the mom is willing to sacrifice to protect her child. At one point, the mom even asks the detective to kill her instead to make room for her daughter, but he lets them both live and leaves them alone. I think this one affected me as a parent because I don't think I would trade immortality for my kids, but I also realize this is probably going to be a polarizing topic because my friends without kids, I believe they would trade immortality for the ability to have kids. And we're at the age where our friends who do not want kids have already made that decision and have adjusted their life accordingly. But it really scared me because of that conflict the detective had. If I never wanted kids, I could totally see the case for choosing immortality, but I've always wanted kids and have no regrets about becoming a father, even though it fundamentally changes everything. The moral dilemma really messed with me more than I expected it to, and everyone on this call is a parent, and I think most parents would side with me in choosing kids over immortality.
Yeah, I take immortality. I have 4 of them. They're such a pain in my neck. Just kidding. Love you guys.
That's too funny.
I mean, do I have to work if I'm immortal?
Yeah, you still have to work.
Yeah, kid. I'll pass that burden right on down to the kids. You guys can live forever. I'm out.
I don't want to live forever. I just want to have a good time while I'm here, and then I'm done, checked out, because I can't live this over and over and over again. That's just me, though.
Yeah, that's actually one of the things. So the woman with the kid, one of the lines she says, she looks normal, like she looks like a normal mother's age. She's like, I'm 218 years old. I've lived long enough. I don't need to see anything more. And then that's why she wanted to have the kid.
I guess if you could do it that way, that's pretty cool. But then you'd leave the kid with no mom or dad.
Yeah, right.
So I'll tell you guys about, mine's is a pretty simple one. I don't think it's a horror. It's not a horror movie per se, but I've watched it once and I can't watch it over and over, but I can watch bits and pieces. It's I Am Legend. And the reason why that one scares me is because, 2 years ago, we were pretty close to a very close scenario where we've got a race to this vaccine, and this vaccine could potentially help human life, but also could save it. And for me, it was like, this realization that we're close. Of course, zombies and whatnot didn't change any of us. The vaccine didn't change any of us, but it is something that I'm like, wow. Yet. Yeah.
Yet.
And I did tell you guys I got my 50th vaccine booster the other day, right? So cross your fingers.
I'm still holding on to those antibodies like a sourdough.
Well, yeah, that's because you lick doorknobs and street signals, right? In order to get the COVID. So
that's how you build that immunity. Yeah.
Oh my gosh! Real quick on that note, at the RSA, I was in the restroom and our CRO walked into the restroom. And I was like, I'm not going to risk it. I'm going to wash my hands, get the hell out of here, because like I knew if he didn't wash his hands, I had to call him out.
You have to call him out. Yeah.
And I was like, I was talking with Ron. I was like, I just saw Dolly in there, and I purposely avoided him. And Ron knew exactly why. He was like, because you thought you were gonna have to call him out, huh? I was like, no, I don't think I would actually have to, but the
you
fact
would.
kind of like briefly
not
crossed
actually
my mind.
would.
But, yeah. The career-ending event right there.
Would you have done it? I just want to know. Would you have done it?
Of course not. I love him. Daddy needs to eat. I don't know, man.
Dolly, if you're listening, I hope you wash your hands.
For the record, I'm 100% sure he did. He's well put together man. So, all right, shifting gears. So when you asked me this, Chris, 2 movies came to mind, and the first one was Arlington Road. Do you guys remember that one?
That was the FBI one, I think. Was it Jeff Bridges?
Yeah.
Am I thinking of the right one?
FBI, yeah. Long story short, if you haven't seen it, oh my gosh, Glenn, you gotta go watch it.
Okay.
This dude is like he teaches at a college level about homegrown terrorism and stuff like that. People move in next door. They frame this poor dude. He thinks he's gonna go stop this place from getting bombed, and he turns out he has the bomb on him. It ends, and you're like, there's no way. Like, this is what the F just happened. That was one of them where I'm just like,
spoiler alert.
Yeah,
well,
thanks.
the movie's like 20 years old.
You haven't watched it. You gotta
watch
it
though. Yeah,
it is.
Watch it anyways. You'll still be like, "What the hell just happened?"
I remember that.
And the second one
was a psychological thriller for sure. A well done movie,
Yeah.
I would say. Yeah, but a movie I'd probably only watch. Well, yeah, I'll watch it again since you brought it up. But yeah, trippy, really, really, really trippy.
I like watching that, like with the people that haven't seen it, and just show them. Like the other day, I showed my daughter The Prestige. She's 13, and like at the end of it, she's like, "What the hell just happened?" Well, she didn't say hell. She's like, "Oh my gosh!" And so we just kind of walked through all the different things. She's like, "This is insane." So the other movie at the time didn't scare me at all, and then the whole Edward Snowden thing happened, and then I went back and rewatched Enemy of the State, and I was like,
"Yeah,
oh yeah,
spot on." Like that's freaky. So now any movie that comes out, I'm like, "That's impossible." No, I don't think that anymore. It's completely possible.
Yeah, it's just we weren't aware. Is the problem.
Yeah. Like, that's far-fetched. They couldn't see a license plate. Dude, you don't know how the internet works, telemetry works.
Enhanced.
I've got to turn you on to a couple books.
Enhanced.
I've got to turn you on to a couple books by Jack Carr, as a former SEAL team guy, and he's written 4 books so far, and I think all of them are pretty good. So I've got to share them with you.
Please do.
I think with things like the Freedom of Information Act, and especially with the in the U.S. here, the CIA, our clandestine services, and things become declassified over time. Like, it's shocking some of the stuff that we did and got away with for so long.
It's shocking in what way, Chris? Like what?
It's like we put LSD in the water, or we tested people, or we like gaslit. I'll have to look it up, but there were some pretty.
That's a whole nother
things.
subject for the podcast, because I actually have like a note on my phone of all the messed up things I've come across. Like the LSD ones with the prostitutes, right? They were tricking the guys. Oh my gosh.
All right. Topic for the next one.
All right.
Well, we continue to get great comments about our dad joke of the week.
Dad joke of the week.
This week, I'm up. So I got to tell you guys, somebody glued my deck of cards together last week. I'm having a really hard time dealing with it.
Wow. Did you go to Vegas? Is that why this came up?
That's a good one. That's a good one.
All right, to wrap things up, RSA 2022 is back with a vengeance. Syria cuts off the entire internet to prevent cheating. Cici's Pizza got hacked, and InfoSec Twitter is split on whether this was good or bad. Microsoft takes steps to promote workplace fairness. And go and watch Love, Death, Robots on Netflix. That's all we have for this week. We hope you enjoyed this week's episode. You can find us all on LinkedIn. Links will be in the description. Follow us on Instagram at PEBCAK Podcast. Thank you to all our listeners and subscribers who rate us 5 stars in the iTunes Store and Spotify and left us a review. We appreciate you all spreading the word to help grow the show. The best way to find us is to search for the PEBCAK Podcast on your favorite podcast listening app. For my co-hosts Brian Deitch and Glenn Medina, I'm Chris Louie. Thanks for listening. We'll see you all next week, and as always, have a nice day.
Have a good one, everyone.